So basically, I wanted to ask you as to tell us more about your time management, as to how
Time
much
management.
time. Yeah.
So time management when I was working was very simple. Office work you have to do. There is no option, right? You know, whatever is your office timing, it's never 9 to 6, right? It's probably 9 to 8 or whatever. In between, uh, if you get half an hour, 1 hour, you can read up something. What you have to do, you know, what I did was, one of the reasons why I was a long-term investor was I was looking for 2 3 good ideas a year, or maybe, you know, 3 ideas a year which I could hold for 2 years, 3 years, 5 years. So once you have that, you don't have to do a lot of work. So evenings I used to come home and I used to read annual reports, or, you know, do all that. Saturdays, Sundays, obviously spent a lot more of time. That was the first maybe 5 7 8 years. After I think 2010 onwards, I more or less could figure out that office work was taking a backstage. I was making more money in the markets. Plus, I was more interested in this. There's too much of politics in office. So that was also something which I did not like. And also, to be very honest, I could see my seniors in office, and that lifestyle was not something that I wanted to aspire to. You know, that 22 days a month I'll keep traveling here and there, and it takes a toll on the body, right? I've done a bit of that, you know, later stage of my career, uh, fair bit of traveling. First few times it becomes, you know, you feel great, you know, I'm traveling by air, going to different countries, staying in 5-star hotels, so it feels very glamorous. But after a point, all that also becomes, you know, par for the course. ठीक है, वही same खाना तो मिल रहा है. Initially, when you get that, you know, for coming from middle class background, right? You go to a 5-star hotel, you see this great buffet spread. You feel wow, you know, you overeat. You do it for the first few times, 5 times, 10 times. After that, you like same cheese है यार, छोड़ो इसको. So those kinds of things started happening, and I could figure out that I was more interested in investing. I was making more money that in this side of the fence, and that's when I started cutting down on my aspirations at office. So I said, "Okay, I'll do my regular 9 to 6, 9 to 7 kind of job, and I'll spend more time, in the evenings, over the weekend, trying to focus on investing." And that's what I did. So there's nothing. See, ultimately, there is this whole concept of time management is a misnomer in my mind. There's nothing called as time management. Ultimately, you have to have two things. You have to manage your priorities, and you need to manage your energy. If you are feeling energetic about a priority that you have, it means that it is aligned with your thought process. If you feel good about doing something, you will figure out a way of doing it. For people who like, watching sports or playing sports, you will find that, you will get a time, you will make time to do that, right? Nobody has to come and force you कि नहीं या कि भाई खेलो आप जाके या ये करो, which whatever you enjoy doing, right? So people naturally gravitate towards things where their priorities are and where they derive energy from. So if you figure that part out, ki what I like, and you do that, pursue that, then that is never a problem. From an investor perspective, if you can spend even say 1 hour a day on the weekdays and maybe 4 5 hours on the weekends, so roughly like 5 into 5 hours on the weekdays, and 5 plus 5 10 hours, so 15 hours over a week. If you spend, it's actually more than enough, right? But you then need to sort of like Stephen Covey said, right? You have to look backwards. You have to have the goal in mind. You know that, okay, I have 15 hours. Then what is it that I should do? If you then feel that नहीं मैं day trading करूंगा तो नहीं होने वाला है, right? So then you have to see, okay, this is the time I have. What would be suitable for me? And then you work accordingly. Then it's not a big deal.
So two biggest learning with from your answer, which I take from as of now, is that number one is regarding what you said about retirement or how we think about retirement when we are having that as an aspiration, and how we actually behave or act when we have actually retired. So we also wrote a blog on this in 2019. I've just shared the link, and that is where we ended the blog with this particular comment, where the prime consideration for evaluating any retirement plan shouldn't be about when to retire and with how much money. A more important question to ask is what we want to do in our life which brings satisfaction to self and livelihood for our dependents. So that is the question which we don't try to figure out when we are in the quest of reaching the financial independence or retirement thing, right? That is number one. And number two, which you mentioned about, you don't actually need too much time for investment. If you spend, say, as you rightly mentioned, 10-15 hours a week, and if those 15 hours you have full focus without any distraction, and you can probably, as you mentioned, that you can go back and see how it has, keep on internalizing what I have done in the last 15 hours and what are my key takeaways. Your learning is much better than slogging in, say, 15 hours, 20 hours a day, and maybe you are still not having any track of what you are doing, right?
And see, the other thing is, when I started, or last 10-15 years back, there were no the opportunities in terms of accessibility or access to information was also very less comparatively. Today, there are so many good advisory services, there are good mutual funds, there are so many good books, blogs, etc., videos that people are making. You need to figure out that, okay, these are maybe 2-3 good people I want to sort of follow uh, in terms of learning, maybe in terms of an advisory service. A lot of advisory services are there which are reasonably priced. If you're investing, say, 5 lakh, 8 lakh, 10 lakh rupees portfolio, and you are adding a few thousand rupees every month, a lot of these advisory services come very cheap, right? If you follow some of them, at least the learning curve and all that improves. So, and again, caveat is, I run an advisory service, but I'm not trying to sort of advertise or promote that. You can go to any advisory service. You can not even go for advisory service. It's not mandatory. I'm just saying that sometimes it helps. That was an opportunity that was not there when I sort of started. There are very good mutual funds out there. There are a lot of very good videos that are there on YouTube today. You just need to be able to learn. You have that mindset of learning, listening to good investors, and automatic knowledge compounding is actually faster, better, and longer lasting than money compounding, right? The more you learn, the more you figure out that your knowledge, your acumen, your understanding about subjects keep going up. So be in that mind frame that you want to keep learning. Returns to hota rahega.